What's up everybody, SmartGuy 2 here, and today going to react Steam Machine Hands-On first version of our new console like gaming PC by IGN. Okay, the Steam Machine Hands-On. The Steam Machine Hands-On. The first version of our new console. Okay, we're going to react on the hands-on the Steam Machine. I do a lot of news for the Steam Machine for the console Valve, and now we're going to react about the experience IGN about the news. So let's get to it.
Is this working? Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's working. Okay.
Are back for the first time since Valve teamed up with manufacturers like Alienware and Lenovo back in the 2010s. But while those original console PC hybrids failed because the software wasn't quite there yet and there's a lack of an appetite for it, 2022's Steam Deck has paved the way for the Steam Machine's return. This time around, instead of partnering with outside manufacturers, Valve is building and releasing a singular Steam machine with the goal of being able to run all current PC games. Let's jump into some of the technical stuff. Valve is aiming for any game available on Steam to run at 4K with upscaling techniques such as FSR. The secret behind this is an AMD RDNA 3 GPU with power roughly equivalent to an RTX 4060 or RX 7600 mobile graphics card.
Is that a lot?
That might be disappointing to anyone looking to max out everything at high resolutions, but it should have plenty of power while still being relatively affordable, we assume. Now, Valve hasn't announced anything on price yet, so we spent a day at Valve playing around with it, and while we haven't had the chance to run the usual gamut of gaming benchmarks, it looks like the new Steam machine might be a serious contender for your living room space. On the surface, the Steam machine seems a lot like the old Steam machine. They're both gaming PCs with a modest spec and meant to run games on Valve's own Linux-based SteamOS. But while the originals had trouble selling, mostly due to the high prices and a lack of Linux compatibility at the time, SteamOS has changed a lot over the last decade. The biggest part of that is Proton, Valve's compatibility layer that essentially translates Windows games to Linux, allowing you to play most of Steam's vast catalog of games on SteamOS, even if they don't officially support Linux. Anyone who's used the Steam Deck over the last few years will know that most games run seamlessly through SteamOS, sometimes even with performance that exceeds the equivalent Windows 11 machines, as we saw with the SteamOS version of the Lenovo Legion Go S.
Look at this!
There are a few exceptions, notably some online multiplayer games with anti-cheat software that doesn't play nice with SteamOS, like Battlefield 6 and Destiny 2, but for the most part, if it's on Steam, it'll run on SteamOS. Valve let us play a variety of games on the new Steam machine, and it ran everything from Cyberpunk 2077 to Silent Hill F to Metal Gear Solid Delta without any major issues. It just took some configuring to find the right graphics settings to balance performance. Of course, once we get the Steam machine in the lab, we'll be able to run a wider variety of games to see just how flexible it is, but for the time being, it does seem like most games will run. Luckily, Valve is also taking the Steam Deck verified program and duplicating it for the Steam machine. Soon there will be 3 different verification badges, one each for the Steam Deck, Steam Machine, and the Steam Frame, which is Valve's new VR headset. Because the hardware isn't actually out yet, we're not sure how widespread this will be, but if Deck Verified is anything to go off of, you can expect a concerted effort.
Is that the guy from the Team Fortress game? Yeah, I never played Team Fortress, but I wish I could play it on my PC. I never played Team Fortress or Memphis Machine, but I wish I could play it someday. Yeah, the only Valve play that I am was Portal 2 on my PlayStation 3. I wish I could play the Mars soon when I can get my PC gamer. I forgot the name of this guy. There's the spy, the scout, there's the spy, the scout. Yeah. I only know the spy and the scout and the other and I forgot the name of the other characters. But all of those two characters were from Team Fortress 2. Yeah. This picture is from Team Fortress, yeah. I don't know who this character is, but I wish I could know him. Can you tell me in the comments below who is this character? I wish I could play Team Fortress.
Might be a gaming PC, but it doesn't really look like one. It's a tiny black box with a slim RGB light bar across the front, mostly meant to indicate that it's on. And when I say it's tiny, I mean it. The PC is a cube that measures roughly 6-7 inches on each side and appears less than half the size of an Xbox Series X. It's actually closer to the size of a GameCube. The front panel is magnetic too and can be swapped out to customize the way the console looks. When we were at Valve, we saw a number of custom designs already. Valve hasn't confirmed whether or not it will be selling alternative front panels, but it'll release the 3D printing files so you can make your own, and you can expect third parties to hop on as well. Because this is ostensibly a desktop PC, there's a wealth of ports. On the front, you got 2 USB-A ports right there, and a micro SD slot if you want to expand your storage. And on the back, you get DisplayPort, HDMI 2.0, 2 extra USB-A ports, and a USB-C port, along with the power connector. And Valve did open up the Steam machine itself so we can get a brief look at its internals. A bulk of the space is taken up by a giant heatsink, which has an exhaust fan at the back that sucks air through the front and bottom of the device and expels it through the rear to keep the device operating at a cool temperature. It's a bold design, especially considering that the Steam machine's GPU is operating with a TDP of 110 to 130 watts. We'll have to wait and see how its thermals handle load when we get the system in for review early next year though. The bottom of the Steam machine houses the SSD, which will come in either a 512GB or 2TB NVMe 2230 drive, depending on which version you buy. You can replace it, and unlike the Steam Deck, the SSD slot has space for a full-sized NVMe 2280 drive, which are both more affordable and easier to find. Don't get too hopeful about upgrading the device beyond the storage though. The rest of the components are soldered on and will not be upgradable. The new Steam machine is one spec. That's a little disappointing, especially given Valve's history of letting its users do what they want with the hardware. However, this is how you get such a tight form factor like this. Given the Steam machine's console-like qualities, it will likely appeal to most people who just want a plug-and-play gaming device. For them, I suspect the lack of upgradability will be a non-issue, at least until it starts showing its age years down the line. The Steam machine will also be available with the new Steam controller, or without one. Whether or not you get the Steam machine bundled with the new controller, the system will have the controller's wireless receiver built in, so you don't have to worry about always having a USB port available occupied by a little dongle. This new Steam machine is powered by a custom chip made by AMD and Valve with an RDNA 3 GPU and 28 compute units and a TDP between 110 and 130 watts, which would place it roughly around a mobile RX 7600. And this is paired with a 6-core Zen 4 CPU with a TDP of around 30 watts. But despite the modest specs, the Steam machine seems to be a capable gaming PC. We played Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K with ultra preset settings and FSR set to performance, and we actually stayed playable. We even went to the settings menu and turned on ray tracing, and performance seemed to stay solid. Although we didn't have a frame counter up for Cyberpunk, I did get more granular with Metal Gear Solid Delta. It being an Unreal Engine 5 game, mileage will vary, but I found a good middle ground with 1440p, balanced FSR, and high-quality settings, and getting 60 FPS at times, and dipping to around the 40s at others. Things were slightly different with Silent Hill F, though. After a lengthy process of installing the shaders, something every game seems to need to do these days, it defaulted to Ultra settings at 4K with TSR, or Temporal Super Resolution, instead of AMD's FSR. At these settings, Silent Hill struggled, chugging along at what seemed to be 15 to 20 FPS, not exactly what I'd call playable. After adjusting the settings down to medium at 1440p with FSR enabled, things felt much better, but this just highlights that the Steam Machine is still a gaming PC at the end of the day, for better and worse. Tweaking settings to optimize performance is a time-honored tradition among PC gamers, but again, might be less appealing to people who just want a plug-and-play gaming experience. Valve says it intends for the Steam Machine to be able to play all current games at 4K with FSR upscaling, but there are going to be plenty of games, especially ones running on Unreal Engine 5, where you'll have to lower settings to get it running at a smooth frame rate. If anything, it has us eager to benchmark it to see exactly what it'll be capable of. The compromises you'll have to make on quality settings will vary between games, but it appears things will at least run. It's likely that over time developers will be able to sense the Steam Machine's hardware and account for appropriate presets. After all, many games do that already with the Steam Deck, and hopefully the Steam Machine gets the same treatment. If it does though, this thing could be a serious contender in the next generation of consoles, especially as the next Xbox looks increasingly PC-like. At a smooth frame rate. If anything, it has us eager to benchmark it to see exactly what it'll be capable of. The compromises you'll have to make on quality settings will vary between games, but it appears things will at least run. It's likely that over time developers will be able to sense the Steam Machine's hardware and account for appropriate presets. After all, many games do that already with the Steam Deck, and hopefully the Steam Machine gets the same treatment. If it does though, this thing could be a serious contender in the next generation of consoles, especially as the next Xbox looks increasingly PC-like. According to Valve, about 20% of its Steam Deck users use the official dock to connect their handheld to the TV. That might not seem like a lot, but given that Valve has shipped millions of Steam Decks, a first-generation product mind you, 20% is not an insignificant number of people. However, there are limitations to running a Steam Deck on a TV. Chief among them is performance. While the Steam Deck is powerful enough for running PC games on its 800p display, it can't really handle higher resolutions very well, especially when you're connected to a 4K TV. The Steam Machine then is the answer. This is a living room gaming PC that should be able to play most games at 4K, assuming you're okay with upscaling from like 1080p or 1440p for more demanding stuff, which is increasingly common in the PC gaming space anyway. And while the Steam Machine will have to contend with similarly spec'd gaming PCs that can be upgraded, this isn't really intended for the do-it-yourself hardware enthusiast. Rather, this feels more like a PC for console gamers. You know, people who didn't play games on PC until the Steam Deck hit the market, or those who just want simplicity. It runs the same operating system and has the same library, only it'll be able to play games at much higher settings. Valve claims the Steam Machine is up to 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, so it should avoid situations like Baldur's Gate 3, where the second you load into Act 3 on the handheld, your frame rate slows to a crawl. So if the Steam Deck made you flirt with the idea of PC gaming, the Steam Machine looks like it'll be the next logical step for you, especially as games get increasingly more demanding. For everyone else who already has a gaming PC, at least Steam as a platform is evolving. It's impossible to talk about PC hardware in 2025 without bringing up price. Devices from the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X in October to the RTX 5080 back in January have all launched with significantly higher prices compared to what they would have been in previous years. Console pricing hasn't fared much better as the Switch 2 hit store shelves at $150 more than its predecessor, while the PS5 and the Xbox Series X have both faced price hikes within the last year. Valve hasn't shared pricing for the Steam Machine yet, but they did tell us that it will be competitively priced with similarly spec'd gaming PCs. Keeping in mind that this is running a last-generation GPU and processor, it could mean that pricing might end up being relatively reasonable, but we just won't know until Valve decides to share more. And we'll definitely cover that when the time comes, but the hope is that Valve keeps the Steam Machine under $1,000, hopefully. If it wants to compete with Xbox's and PlayStation space in the living room, it'll have to. For more on what Valve has cooking up in the hardware space, be sure to check out our hands-on previews of the new Steam controller and the Steam Frame VR headset. And for everything else,
the Steam Machine has great things. I'm gonna show my final thoughts to you in end the video here. Well, the Steam Machine has some very good things. They didn't mention the price, but they mentioned about they're going to they can. Some games cannot lay at 4K 60 frames per second because the resolution is not compatible. And if you lay at 1440 pixels, it will be much better. And other games on Steam Deck can be compatible with Steam Machine. And in the bottom of the game, you cannot upgrade console either, which is a shame. Another thing they mention about you cannot upgrade the console to put another things in there, another stuff. The Steam Machine cannot upgrade the game. You can't upgrade the Steam Machine to a good console. If you want to use your PC to play games with the Steam controller, that will be a good option, which is more economizable, which is highly recommended. And because Steam Machine does permit you to upgrade your console, and PC permits you to upgrade. So that's one advantage to have a PC gamer. I can't agree with that. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to watch my content in the channel playlist and watch my Grammy channel link down below. That's it. Goodbye. Love you all. See you again in the next video.